Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Levi's story. And we're going to jump ahead just enough for it to be the next morning as you awaken after a pretty long day. You were pretty beat up. Today, you wake up on time, a little sore, but feeling okay. It's 5 in the morning. Do you go get breakfast?
Of course.
One moment
You
here.
of the day.
Breakfast is pretty hearty this morning, and you gain 8 temporary hit points.
Hell yeah.
As you eat and you head to class, do you have anything you'd like to do before class, or are you just going straight there?
No, he's got some questions for Iriakis, so that's where we're looking.
All right. That is where we go. Straight to class. Wash and Kyo are here, and as you enter the sanctuary, Iriakis nods to you. Good morning,
Give him
Levi.
a bow. Good morning.
As you have entered, Iriakis looks at you for a long moment, and he says, "You have grown more attuned to your ki."
About that, I don't know what I did, but there's definitely something different.
Yes, there is. Kyo, wash. You are to spawn on the moss tree canopies. Go. And they both turn and look at you, and then at Iriakis, and they look like they want to ask something, but Wash just claps her hands onto, like, straight down at her sides and bows, and she leaves, and then Kyo does the same. So you are alone with Iriakis for the moment.
Oh, and real quick, for anybody who's watching and you're confused, you should go watch the collaboration From Nothings. That's where we're picking up.
Yes, we are picking up after From Nothing. Sigona's Free Agency is the name of the episode.
Okay, awesome.
So, Iriakis approaches you. He looks you in the eye, and he says, "Describe what you remember."
I remember. I remember feeling the need to stop that hag or witch or whatever she was, and focusing on it, I ended up becoming faster and being able to do more than normal.
Iriakis smiles, and he kind of dips his head. "Now, you begin a journey. Whether you continue it is entirely your choice. But for the first steps, I am to guide you on." And he gestures to the huge stone doors behind him. And he says, "You remember the bridge beyond. Yes?"
Right. The floating gardens or something like that.
"Follow
Could
the
be-
bridge.
Okay.
You may find it hard to do so, but that is a challenge."
Right. Okay. And they'll give a bow and kind of stroll through, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
He
Yeah,
watches you
goes
leave. And you are by yourself. As you pass between the massive stone doors and you step out onto the bridge, it is, as you remember, leading toward out endlessly, and you see there is off in the distance what looks like a small... It's like nestled into a forest. It looks like a compound or maybe a small town. It looks like structures. And the bridge seems to head that way, but as you try and focus on it, It's almost as if it's wavering in and out of your focus. As you follow the bridge and you begin to walk, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
20.
That's pretty good.
Hey.
You continue. And while it is difficult to focus on where you're going, the one thing that seems to slip your notice, but you catch it later, is you're not sure how long you've been walking. It's as similar to when you were out in the vast open plains before you found the Shrine to Myriad, but not exactly the same. As you're walking, you feel the cold stone that seems to constantly run with cool water underneath your feet. But with a 20 on your wisdom saving throw, while at first it might feel like you're not making any progress, you notice small differences in the bridge. Stones set a little differently. The weathering from rain or other passers damaging the bridge in different ways. There is definitely new bridge beneath your feet. It's just hard to see at a glance. You continue walking.
Yeah.
Roll me another wisdom saving throw.
I'd like to think he's not trying to think about the bridge. In fact, as he's walking and following the bridge, he's trying to think about nothing at all. He's just trying to keep an empty head and follow.
I'll give you advantage.
At 20 for a 27.
You realize suddenly that what you were seeing was just your memory of the bridge. And you realize why it felt so weird as you are passing through a stone tunnel. The sound of rushing water is all around you, but it's echoed down this tunnel. You see light ahead of you. You see light behind you. You realize you must have been walking through this tunnel for minutes? Hours? There is an ambient light that seems to be everywhere in here, and it's not dark. It's not light either, but it is easy to see where you're going. It is just a straight line. It's as though this tunnel was perfectly carved. It's square, even. You'd imagine maybe dwarves or elven artisans would have carved this. With the natural 20, for a total of 27, you suddenly emerge. Hold on.
I'm not on this.
Hold on.
Oh my god, this looks so good.
You emerge between falling waterfalls. And the bridge, which looked perfect before, you see it is broken, damaged. The hints of, well, maybe archway or suspensions that are gone now, just stone pillars that lead up off the side of the bridge, and you move right through them. And ahead of you, you see there is more structures. Definitely what looks like a town, but it looks old, worn away by time, long since abandoned. It's nestled into forest, and you see there are more waterfalls in places they shouldn't be, as you look up into the mountains in the distance and you see water cascading down from high peaks, visible even from here. Roll me a perception check.
Perception. 19.
With a 19, you see around this compound, around this town, you barely see it. It's almost imperceptible. But it's almost as if there is a fine, transparent dome or bubble. You only catch it from an errant reflection off the water. You also see, at the end of the bridge, inside the dome, there is a green figure. They look not as though they are standing. From here it looks as though they are sitting down. But they are facing you.
You slowly approach.
As you approach the dome, it becomes harder and harder to see until you're not sure exactly where it was. You still see the figure though, and as you get closer you see it's a lizard man. He wears robes that are tied into pauldrons at his shoulders. You're certain it's a male. You're also certain that he looks old. He might be the oldest lizard folk you've ever seen or heard of. And as you get closer, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
18?
Yeah, you're rolling well. You pass through the dome, and suddenly it changes. It's as though what you were seeing was accurate, but not quite accurate. As the compound suddenly, it's as though you blinked, and it looks different. And you realize it's mostly the same, but it looks newer. It looks cleaner. And it looks as though what were waterfalls near you, they were gone suddenly, and you are suspended. The stone you're standing on is floating. It's very strange. But as you've entered the bubble, suddenly you are within 15 feet of the lizard man, and he stands.
Hello.
I bow.
There is no need for such proper behavior.
Pardon me then.
Please. You may call this one Reshan.
Reshan. It's a pleasure. You can call me Levi.
Levi. I am pleased you have found your way here. Tell me, from when do you approach?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand.
Let me try and elaborate. This one has been here a long time. I was shown here. Well,
You see, he almost looks confused for a moment. Then he says,
do you remember the legends of the fall?
What he?
roll history.
13?
The fall is something everyone knows about. You would have heard of it. You may not know exactly when it was, like you wouldn't know the date. But you know it was maybe around 100 years ago.
Yeah, I know of the fall.
That is when I chose. This is my new home. And it seems as though your spirit, your soul, swims amongst our rivers.
I still don't really follow.
I will try to help. Do you know where you are?
A garden, I remember Iriakis said.
Good. This is the Bending Gardens, a monastery hidden in time. This one was made in 893.
I'm just writing down.
You know, in world, the year is 6071.
Jesus, this place is old. As he says that, are you the only one here?
Right now, yes.
Tell
There
me,
are
do you-
others, but they will appear when they like.
Do you know of Gannett?
Ha ha ha. Yes. He was who recruited me.
He talked to me when I tried to speak with Myriad once.
Perhaps he found you worthy as he did this one.
He said he was gonna keep an eye on me.
And did you taste the rivers of time?
And you mean by exactly how?
It has no flavor, no scent, but should you drink of it, the world flows differently for you.
I don't recall drinking from such a river.
It is a metaphor.
Oh, I'm. If
I have seen you
what-
before.
when
Come with me.
sure, and we'll start to follow.
Okay, so as you follow him, you are led through a veritable maze of hallways, rooms, pathways. So I'm not going to ask you for a wisdom save, but what's your survival skill bonus right now?
+5.
Okay, so you do a relatively good job of keeping track of the directions that you're moving in, but it is both terrifying and unsettling. The different ways and paths that you are taken on. Some of them are you're climbing up very narrow stairways. Suddenly you're out in massive opening hallways with sunlight casting in. Suddenly you're out atop a huge stone battlement looking over a vast canyon where you see people moving about, but none of them seem to either look at you or see you. And you might think for a moment to try and stop and inspect them or just say anything, but Rayshawn is already moving, and you know that if you lose him, you will likely be lost. Period. As you are making your way, suddenly he rounds a hall, and you are sitting in, well, you're looking over a strange room, and your perspective looks exactly as it does in this image. Waiting for you to load it.
Yep,
There you are.
I got it.
What you're looking into looks as though it's a fine stairway that you'd expect to see in a palace or a temple, but there is sand flowing up and down through it, and it's gently moving, always. And the sound of it is just a constant in all directions. Right next to you, Rayshawn says, "I saw you here."
What is this place?
This is the river. This, well, I don't know. what this place is, but I do know it is a place of great importance. It is a place where time all joins together. And this one has dabbled here a few times. But yesterday I saw you here.
Oh, I see. I think I understand. Yesterday is when um, I guess I altered myself in time, now that I think about it, and what you're explaining.
You took a few grains from the rivers of time.
And I sped myself up.
Yes. You have the affinity. But do you have the temperament? Do you have the judgment? I don't know. This one is not here to judge you. This one is here to, well, kill demons. But
Right, what?
do you not know me?
I don't know much outside of the little that I know.
I am Reshan, the Wanderer.
You can roll a history, but your character is not likely to know who that is, but it's a chance.
Yeah, let's do it. 16, probably not.
No, the DC I had settled him on was 18. So-
It's alright.
You might have heard the name before, but you don't know who he is. And he just chuckles.
This is fine. This one's friends are the ones who are so interested in fame. I always like to be more subtle. Anyway, if you are to be here, which you are, you have choices to make. The Bending Gardens are here in no time and in all time. Everything in the world passes through here at some point, at some time. And through the river, we see every important moment, and we choose not to intervene. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. To disturb the river, to disturb the natural flow of time. This is Aegir's job. Aegir is the one who sees over this place, and should you cross him, is, well, unending damnation. But more importantly, it would alter the flow of events in the world that are going as they are intended to. Not by Aegir's demand, but by time itself. As you have tasted of the sands of the rivers of time, you will grow attuned to them. You will grow in strength around them, as I did. Gannet the Unmoving showed me this place 170 years ago. By the world's time. It was maybe 40 years by my time. As you spend time here, time moves for you differently than it does for the rest of the world. This one still is not used to it.
And imagine something like that would take a very long time to get used to.
Yes. I also must point out, should you intend to declare yourself an emissary of time, a monk of the Bending Gardens. Well, time would be different for you than of your friends, your companions, Wash, Keel, the others at your academy. You would see things for them that would happen that they would not know until it was too late, but you would be unable to alter. Is this a thing you can live with?
I think there is a reason for everything, and we are not to judge everything. So I think that is something I can handle.
Your future is decided by you, as my future is decided by me. Wash's future is decided by Wash, and I am no god. I would never make a change to Wash's future for me, as you should never make a change to my future for you. These are the tenets that those of the Bending Gardens must follow. One change, one errant mistake. I don't know what would happen. I haven't done it. I am not a fool. This
seem
one is
very wise.
curious. Sometimes. You should have seen me when I was younger.
Oh, that's everyone when they're younger.
I had a very strange obsession with daggers. I still do, but I suppose it is tempered now. As my friends grew. You see, he looks wistful and a little sad. I chose this, a safeguard. I felt it important to protect the rivers of time. For there are things that occur not impacted by the people of the prime material, but altered by the demons of the abyss, or teased by the devils of the nine hells, altered just slightly by the fae, or worse, torn apart and burned by the aberrations of the far realm. These are where we stand in the way, for the rivers of time must be protected. There are creatures, illithid, monsters of the abyss, strong enough, smart enough to alter with the sands of time, even if they do not know where the Bending Gardens are hidden, as magic is a powerful tool. It is these creatures we fight off. And if you are willing to help, well, you just need to prove you have the temperament not to toy with it. You must also accept this will be your future. It is no small choice. This is one that this one struggled with for many years. This one is also sure you have many questions.
There are a lot of questions, a lot of answers, a lot of choices, but I didn't really have a future plan. I didn't have anything for down the road. It was all just live day by day to see what comes and escape what I came from. I didn't like the way things were. I didn't like the path that was set for me. And if I think that if I can help protect the timeline and protect those who want to make themselves better or choose their own fate, I think that sounds good.
Are you telling the truth right now?
Yeah, 100% truthful.
Roll a persuasion.
Not the best at these.
Yeah, it's not. You're not trying to convince him. It's just how well you're getting your point across.
Nope.
Okay. No. As you're speaking, Rayshawn, this ancient lizard folk, begins to walk around you, almost appraising you, and he says, I hear you, but I feel as though there is more to this than I am seeing.
Right.
More to you than I am seeing.
I am actually a dragon.
Oh.
A white dragon.
Ah. Do you move under a guise, or is there a reason you hide yourself?
No one likes white dragons. Their reputation is awful, and most of them are just in it for themselves and kill and take as they please.
Rayshawn stops in front of you. Continue.
And I feel like I have to hide that. I can't be who I am and do what I want to do.
A white dragon. You know, by nature, many white dragons are thought to be almost feral, bestial. But you speak with intelligence, and I believe you. This one is under no false impressions here. The rivers of time care not for deceptions. While many lies and pretensions are happening in the grains of the sands, time does not care what is hidden. Time continues anyway. I believe you. What of your family?
I haven't seen them since I left. Don't really care to think about them. They pillage and kill and take and hoard, and I want no part of that.
I see. You see, he's like considering. Where I grew up, dragons of all kinds were killed on sight. They were extinct for thousands of years where I grew up. I believe my homeland had it wrong. In my experience, dragons can be the most loyal of allies, if they should so choose to be. And though you are a white dragon, I will not hold that against you, because I see no point. You have drunk of the sands of time, tasted it, and instead of running or fighting, you came here. And you've shown me no dishonesty. So, if this is what you wish to pursue, a future here, defending time against the monsters that be who would try to alter it to their causes, this one would welcome you. This one would also point out you have much growing to do.
I can't argue that fact either. but I think this is something I would like to do.
You are sure about this?
I'm sure.
Very well. Come.
He gestures for you to follow him again.
He sure does.
So this time, instead of leaving the area, Rashawn leads you down into the pit where the sand is flowing around his ankles, and he gestures for you to stand where he was.
I'd stand there.
Roll me a strength saving throw.
Oh, brother.
It's not a very hard DC.
Oh, yeah, well, doesn't matter.
Okay. You find yourself suddenly, like the sand is moving around your ankles, and at first, it's very easy. It's barely pushing you at all. But it's warm. And instead of pushing you over, you feel it pulling you in, and you are suddenly almost as though your feet are pulled out from underneath you. And before you know what's happening, sand is whoosh up over your face, and you are blinded as you are knocked prone and pulled under the sand. How do you react?
I'm gonna roll a wisdom save to see if he panics or not. I'd say 14 or higher, and he keeps his composure.
Okay. Sure.
20. So, he just holds his breath, and he doesn't try to like struggle. How to explain this? He tries to calmly stand up, like slowly put his hands down and try to push himself up.
As you press your hands down next to you, you feel Rashawn's, like, not claws, but the bony tips of his fingers press on your forehead and keep you on the ground. Do you resist?
No.
As the sand is flowing over your face, you have a vision. Everything changes for you. Your vision suddenly casts out, and you are looking down over the continent of Ishi. You're looking from impossibly high up. It's a bird's eye view. And you see Farum from here. It is so small, like a thumbprint on the ground, miles and miles away. And as you're looking down at it, you see there are lights shining in Farum. So many of them. Hundreds, even. And you don't know exactly what they mean to you in this vision at this moment. And then suddenly you see that there are lights lighting up all across around the immediate area. And then, as you're flying farther and farther, you recognize the mountains. You recognize Quarterstone. You recognize where it meets Ko, and those lights change. As the lights dance across each other, you see they suddenly turn red, and some of them begin to glow black, and then wink out, as if just casting shadow over their immediate areas and then vanishing. And as all this is happening, Quarterstone glows. The town itself, you see it's the narrow streets between the buildings. You remember what it looked like, and as you're looking down on it, there is a white light heading down. It's so bright compared to all of the other lights that you've seen. It's bright and shining, and the shadows it casts through Quarterstone, it's as though all attention is on this white light. And as it continues downward, Quarterstone falls behind it, and you watch as it leads its way down all the way through the mountains into the Allen Woods, where it hides amongst the trees, the white light that glows so brightly. There are green lights and brown lights all around it, flickering like pixie dust in between the trees. And then that brilliant white light winks out, and it changes to red and gold. Suddenly, no one sees it anymore. It blends in just as it had anything else, and as it joins the lights within Farum, it joins the red and gold of the Ferrum's original lights, and they glow even brighter. While all that is happening, more white lights shine over Quarterstone. These white lights are harsh, sharp. They're powerful, and you see that they are, like, so bright that the shadows of the town's buildings are being swallowed, harder to see. And when the white lights move on, the shadows of Quarterstone are all that's left. You see that Quarterstone is flattened. Suddenly, the vision ends as the sand flows back off of your eyes and you are looking up, and Rayshawn is looking down at you.
He's probably just gonna sit there speechless for a good 5 minutes. Just that whole experience for him is just, it's almost shaken him to his core, like maybe a little scared, but just awestruck, trying to understand what just happened.
Rayshawn is looking down at you, a smile on his very wide, toothy face, and he says,
This one thinks you had maybe something to look at, yes?
Lots of things to look at. What was that?
What did you see?
Lights. Many different lights. Over the world, the countries, Farum, Quarterstone, reds, golds, bright whites that vanished into darkness and blended in with the other reds and golds. Harsh, whiter lights that hurt.
The sand showed you something you needed to see. What it means is up to you.
and Rayshawn holds his hand down to you.
He'll reach up and grab it.
He pulls you up onto your feet with alarming strength. You didn't think this old lizard folk had that in him. But you were pulled up onto your feet, and Rayshawn just smiles at you and says,
This one is excited to see where you go from here. Ah, right. Before anything else, Ariakas has shown you the powers of Ki, yes?
Yes, he has.
You understand it is the channeling of your spiritual energies into the world around you. Yes.
Yes.
The same works here. Only because you have tasted of the sands of time, and they have shown you a truth. They have allowed you to swim. They have allowed your soul to touch the sands. And so you can use a little bit of it to influence your Ki. Your Ki is now bound to the sands of time. That already happened, whether you had said yes or no. So, sorry, but you said yes, so it's good. Anyway, you are now able to return here anytime you wish, on purpose. What you must do is concentrate. Focus. Meditate as you would. Only, instead of meditating as you might to just recenter yourself, now you meditate and focus on where you are here. Remember when you are here. And that is where you will be. Yes?
Okay. And that can be done anywhere?
Any when. It's all, you're not, okay. So, you're remembering when you are here, and then you will be here. Your body will still be where you are.
Right. Yeah, I
but
understand.
you, yes, the mind is what matters.
I see. I understand.
Okay. I am relieved it took this one a while before I got it.
Okay.
So, You concentrate, meditate. Sometimes it takes maybe a few minutes. Sometimes if you're really hyped up or injured, it can take longer. What matters is that you focus.
Can do that.
And then when you want to leave, you just think about when you were not here.
Okay. That I can do.
So, really, you'll find it pretty easy. What was the last thing you remember before you were here?
Talking to Iriakis in the classroom.
Yes. Why don't you focus on that now?
Right. He'll sit down cross-legged, put his hands in his lap, and close his eyes, and try to focus on being back in the classroom when he was.
Roll me a wisdom saving throw.
20.
You suddenly feel dampness on your feet, and you realize you are standing inside the stone doors in Iriakis' sanctuary.
Gonna take some getting used to.
What was that?
Wait. So I didn't actually walk through the doors?
You see Iriakis smiles.
No. And yes.
That's gonna take some getting used to.
I believe you are correct. What do you think?
I think I have a long journey ahead of me.
This is very true.
I have accepted Rashawn's offer, and time to prove myself.
Iriakis looks at you and smiles, and he presses a fist into his palm and he tips his head and he says,
Then welcome, brother, into the fold.
I'll give him a bow back, and thank you.
And now we have training to do.
Of course, can't be slacking.
I must keep you up to scratch. Are you ready?
Of course.
Then show me what it is you have learned from the sands of time.
and you are going to roll me initiative right now.
Ah, shit. 14. Not very. 19.
No,
okay.
yeah, Iriakis is going first.
Sure is. Alright, come punch the shit out of me.
He darts up to you, and right before he gets to you, he holds his hand out towards you, and then he draws his hand back. And you feel your hands slow as you ready yourself up. And then he strikes you. If this attack hits, a thing will happen.
Yeah, he's gonna slow me, isn't he?
He's going to remove your reaction, is what he's going to do. That's a 16 to hit.
That misses.
You managed to just barely dodge, and you feel where his fist was going. It's almost as though your clothes just slow down in that immediate area, and then he draws it back. His next, he has a multi-attack, so he's going to attack again.
Oh shit, not again.
That's a 25 to hit.
That definitely is.
So he is not hitting you full force. You take 6 points of bludgeoning damage. But again, you feel the strange... It's almost as though part of you is moving slower than you intend. And you have no reactions until your next turn.
Okay.
He will bonus action patient defense.
Oh.
It's your turn.
Son of a bitch. I don't know that I can hit him.
And when he sees you, like, considering what to do, he says, use the sands. Focus.
Right. Let me look.
Hang on, I need to update your...
Yeah, that's fine.
character sheet.
I'm reading through this. Right, okay. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm uploading... I'm ready for you. I'm just fixing your token
Oh,
again.
okay. Right, so... If this is... Right, so getting that feeling of slow from Iriakis, he's going to focus on that and try to, in turn, slow Iriakis. So I'm gonna 3 points and use Ebb.
Okay. So... This feels weird.
Oh yeah.
So what ebb is to you in this case? You reach out, you consider the gateway, this is the flowing river of time that you saw, and you consider Iriakis in it, and you see the actions he would take, and you pull the sand away from those choices. And as you do, you slow him, and he feels it, and he looks at you and he says, good. I believe this is a... It's
Con
a
save.
con save? Yes. Yeah, it doesn't just happen, but...
Yeah,
it is...
no, it's a con save, yeah.
What's your DC?
It is 15.
I rolled a natural 4 for a 10.
Hell yeah!
Okay, so he is slowed.
Oh yeah, he can only attack one time, his movement is halved, and -2 to his AC. And then... That is my turn.
No bonus action?
No, because I have to attack for the unarmed attack.
That's true. Alright, he will step up to you, and you see he's moving slower. He seems very deliberate as he moves. He's still standing on top of the water, and as he approaches you, you see he kind of focuses all of his attention into one attack, trying to make it count. I don't think that'll matter, though. That's an 18 to hit.
That just hits.
Okay, so even as he's slowed, the old man is too deceptive in his movements, and he manages to land an elbow for 6 damage right on your chest.
Oh.
This always feels weird. As he's like doing these motions to try and correct his time, and he will flow himself.
Motherfucker. Okay.
And he will counteract the slow. So it's just, he spends his action speeding himself back up.
Right. Okay.
So you're back to neutral.
Yeah, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Alright, when all else fails.
Yep, that's all I can do. And nope, that misses. The second one... 17?
A 17 misses.
Nope, I missed both.
Okay. He will try and attack you back. A 22 to hit.
Yep.
And then his bonus action attack. 12 to hit.
Nope.
Okay, so he hits you one more time. One moment here. He will spend a key, and I'd like a deck save.
23.
That is successful. You are not knocked prone.
Good. It's the last thing I need.
I remind you that your bending palm strikes, they're on your flurry of blows, so, like, if you use flurry of blows, each one you can do something to someone.
Nope, I can't do anything. I'm out of key.
Right, if you had chosen to do that instead of...
Yeah, I
everything.
gotcha. Yep.
So, you are not knocked prone as you feel suddenly, it's as though a wave of... It's like when you were standing in a river. You remember, it's like you're forced to remember this, and your feet almost slide out from underneath you, but you don't.
How much damage did I take?
Oh, 6 points.
Okay. Well,
Ariakis will step back from you, holding his hands up in guard, and that's his turn. It's your turn.
okay. Well, guess what? We're gonna punch him.
I figured you would.
Nope. And a 23.
23 hits.
Okay, cool.
Actually says no.
6 damage.
This punch, you land square on his face, and you feel hot, wet blood run down your knuckles as he recoils, and you see you've broken his nose, and he just... Well. And he, like, crosses his hands against each other, and then he pulls them apart, and you watch as his nose unbreaks itself, as if the action was reversed. That's his turn.
Cool.
He will then hold up his hand, and he will say, "Good enough."
I don't really understand how this whole flowing of sand works, but I feel like I'm getting the hang of it, maybe.
As you fight and grow and become accustomed to the memories of your own, as you fight and your ki touches the memories of others, you remind them of when they were in this situation, of when they were injured, of when they were slow, of when they were on their back, and you make it happen again.
Makes sense. That's a very good description. That makes it easy to visualize.
As you grow stronger, you will be able to reach into your own memory and make reality what had happened to you. For example, you broke my nose. I remembered when it was not broken, and I made that my reality, because I did not want to bleed all over my robes.
Sounds kind of insane. I know magic can alter reality, but just the force of your will, which is...
It is only a gift. It is only a gift granted to those who have been accepted into the rivers of time.
Yeah.
You have proven yourself worthy. Accept it, or don't. It matters not.
I plan to. Every new thing is always baffling at first.
It will be very confusing. For example, what time of day do you think it is right now?
Listen, I don't even know how long I walked through that bridge. I don't know how long I was in the temple for. I could have been gone for 10 minutes for all I know. I have no concept of the time that I was gone.
Ariakis looks up at the skies and off in the direction that Kyo and Wash went, and he says,
They have been spotting for 4 hours.
Oh.
We should perhaps go retrieve them before they hurt themselves.
Right, that sounds like a good idea.
And Ariakis will lead the way up to the moss tree canopies, where Kyo and Wash are sweaty and sore, and they're still training, but they are moving extremely sluggishly. And Ariakis, says, Kyo, Wash,
You two are finished for today. Do not overdo it for one day. And Kyo looks over at him like, are you kidding me? Wash just seems accepting of this, and they both bow, and Ariakis turns to you and says, while it is an early day, we will call it good here. I have much to do.
Thank you. I suppose we'll take our leave then, and I'll give him a bow.
He bows back, as do Wash and Kyo, and everyone kind of makes their way painfully out of the training room as Ariakis heads toward the stone doors. What do?
I head over to Kyo and Wash, and I go, you guys want to get a drink?
Kyo nods. Wash says, aye. Sure. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Alright. Mary Guard.
You notice Wash is speaking common.
Oh. Been practicing?
She nods.
Impressive.
You see
Drinks on
Kyo
me.
is relieved. Drinks on you, okay. When you say that, Kyo and Wash perk up a little bit. Kyo says, I think I'm going to get some nullyweed, if that's alright with you. First. It's you chew it and it helps dumb down the pain.
Ah, yeah, that's right. I mean, end up what alcohol's for anyway.
I hurt.
Alright, listen.
And so as you head out, Kyo is heading to Bud's. Do you go straight to the Marigard or do you go with him?
We'll go with him. Sure, why not?
Okay. As you head into Bud's shop, last time you were here, you did not enter. It is a cramped but well-lit herb shop, and it smells extremely pungent. It's powerfully pungent. And you watch as Kyo heads up to the shopkeeper and begins purchasing a bag of what looks like these spindly tubers. Each one, it looks like they're clean, but they look real unpleasant. Like if you've ever just looked at a plant's roots by themselves, they look a little gross. But you watch as Kyo purchases a bag and immediately takes one out, breaks it, and puts it in his mouth and starts chewing.
Doesn't look very fun to chew on.
It doesn't taste very good either, but my feet
If it
already
helps,
are
it
feeling
helps.
it. Yeah, I needed it.
Right. Do you have a preference of where we go to drink, or?
He just kind of hums about. But Wash says, the Mary Guard has good steak.
The Mary Guard it is, then.
Alright. As you head into the Mary Guard. It is early in the afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock. Roll me a D100.
Oh, okay. 100.
Okay, roll
I was
me
just
a,
thinking to myself, nobody ever rolls a 100.
roll me a D2. Alright, roll me a D10. You see, already at a table, looks like she just sat down, is Sagona. She looks up at you as you enter with Wash and Kyo, and she says, "Hey there!
Afternoon.
You're coming to sit over here, right?"
I suppose we can. You all want to go?
Wash shrugs and Kyo says,
Sure, I don't see why not.
All right. Let me go and pull up a chair.
Well, how are you doing?
Confused. I went through the ringer today, but other than that, I'm doing alright. I'm better off than, you know, and watch.
You know what I don't get is they say the monk class is the hardest one, right? But there's only one druid student and there's only one paladin student. Why are there 3 of you fuckers?
Well, there was only one until me and Wash got here.
Kyo nods. Sagona says, "So what's your deal then?" She says to Kyo, and Kyo says, "What do you mean? I want to become a monk. I like it." And Sagona says, "Oh, well, if you like it, I guess. Well, then why do they always talk about people quitting?"
It's very hard training.
Wash nods at that, and then a waiter arrives. Let me roll a d4 to see who it is.
Don't be the one guy. It's the one guy.
Welcome to the Merry Guard, where it's your duty to be merry. The same tiefling arrives at the table.
Every fucking time.
What can I do? You can't keep rolling the same thing. What can I get you all?
Just
We have a new berry ale imported from Trident. Elderberry ale, you've heard of it. It is delicious.
you all want one?
Wash and Kyo say, "Sure, sir.
Sagona?
I'll take the dwarven stout, thanks."
3 berry whatever, and then her for the stout.
3 elderberries and a dark. No problem. And he leaves.
As soon as he leaves, like, he'll lean into Sagona. Do you know what his problem is?
He likes tips?
What?
What do you mean by
What?
problem?
Am I the one with the problem? He doesn't seem just like droll and like he hates his job and doesn't.
I think that's just how he talks, honestly.
Really?
He's always here and he's always smiling at people, and he makes little fireworks appear out of your drink, and you know.
He's never done that for what? Fireworks?
Yeah, and he totally has made little
has
sparklers
he?
and shit come out of your
Well, I'm
drinks.
just gonna pretend that Levi doesn't remember.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it happens all the time. He tries to get tips out of people. I don't know. He also sometimes joins the bards when they're playing.
I guess I'm the one with the problem then. Fuck.
Is it gonna pats you on the shoulder and says, "We know."
Fuck.
The waiter comes back with 4 drinks, and sure enough, he prestidigitates and little fireworks and sparklers out of the drinks. Enjoy, and let me know if there's anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
He nods and smiles and then leaves. You are at the tavern. Roll me a D100, please.
Right. 51.
51. Hold on. Let me see what this is. I don't know if that works. You suddenly hear from another table a human is boasting to another, and you hear, "No, no, no, I swear I convinced a god to make a star for me, but you can't see it from here, it's the middle of the day." And the person across from him, who you glance over, you see a kind of familiar dragonborn cleric.
Oh boy.
You see Sabratha is
has like a glass of wine, she just says, "Oh, of course you did, yes. And I'm sure it's splendid. If you're willing to come outside with me tonight, I can point it out for you. But you might have to give me a minute. They all look fairly familiar." And this human he looks like an adventurer. He looks like kind of a bald male human, probably a barbarian or a fighter, a big guy wearing like heavy medium armor, like half plate. And he's drinking, and you see Sabratha is like at that posture where she's like sitting catty corner to the table with her drink in one hand, but is clearly the body language is not interested in this guy.
Right.
Very much pointed away. Sabratha sees the four of you over the guy's shoulder, and she like makes eye contact with you.
No waver.
If you'll excuse me, I've seen some old friends, and I think you should find some other ones.
And she stands up and comes around to sit at your table. And as she sits down next to Sigona, you see Sigona like look up at her.
Hi, Sabratha.
And Sabratha looks at Sigona and says,
Hey there. Fine day of class, wasn't it?
and Sigona, it's tense. Like, you get the impression that for Sabratha, this is improvement. For Sigona, this is not. Sigona, like, eyes you and says,
Yeah, it could have been better. For sure.
Right. So, no need for all this tension. Just drink and relax.
Sigona looks like side-eyes Sabratha and takes a huge drink of the dark stout that was set in front of her. Sabratha's like swirling the wine glass, and she kind of smirks and she says,
I must say I appreciate the rescue from that very uncomfortable situation.
Right. What's this about a god making him a star?
He was an individual who I aided during a free agency and convinced that I ought to get a drink with him. And due to the circumstances, I agreed. I didn't really want to. It is what it is.
Kyo and Wash are chuckling the whole time as they're watching all this happen.
Right. Fucking hell, this place never gets dull, does it?
I will say no, it doesn't at that, which was good. I would hate for it to be droll around here.
And then she
Yeah.
looks over at Wash, and Sabratha says,
I must ask, you don't sound like you're from anywhere I've heard of. Your accent is very unique.
and Wash...
Haven't they talked before? Don't they both speak Celestial?
Yeah, but what she's saying
Oh, no,
is she
that
doesn't
was-
recognize where she's from.
Right. Actually, that might have been Nori.
It
that I'm
probably
thinking
was.
of.
It
Yeah,
probably
that
was. That being said, Sabratha... Does Sabratha even speak Celestial? Hang on.
Yeah, I don't think it was Sabratha.
No, Sabratha does not speak Celestial.
Yeah, it was Nori, so I don't think they've met before.
Sabratha is like looking at Wash, and Wash says, in common,
I'm from the shelf.
and everyone at the table is going to roll a history check. Sigona doesn't know what that is. Kyo doesn't have a fucking clue. Sabratha doesn't know what that is. Do you know what the shelf is? Did we already have this conversation?
Yeah, we've been over this before.
Okay. So there's just like blank stares. And Sabratha says,
I'm sorry, the where?
and Wash like looks down at the table, and you can see her shoulders kind of raise and drop in that obvious like, okay. And she says,
The shelf? It is, On the edge of the vast. Near Ceres? I haven't heard of it. But I believe you. There are not many Tritons from where I'm from. Or near there. All the ones I know of are from Triton. So... And Keo nods. He says, yeah, I've heard of Tritons from around Phobos and Fidi, but never heard of the Shelf, whatever that is. And you see Wash is like kind of getting like impatient as she says, yes, the Shelf, it is very far south. You do not need to worry about it.
That's alright.
She smiles and says, yes, it is alright. And everyone's like, people are obviously curious, but no one wants to press Wash for this because she seems agitated about it. So then Sagona says, so, how'd you handle that devil name then? And Sabratha looks at her and says, well enough. I didn't have to read it aloud, which is a relief. Like Malos did then. And you remember the conversation yesterday, and it seems as though Sabratha is suddenly tied into that somehow.
Right. You got mixed up into that.
Sagona turns to you and says, our instructor, Treat, decided it would be a good example of dangerous magical artifacts and why it's good to have a wizard about, or an artificer, or a sorcerer, or anyone with arcane knowledge, which none of us have. And Sabratha, like, hums, but doesn't disagree.
Huh.
He was trying to affect how important it is to have a versatile team. And she takes
Training is vastly different than ours.
Why? What's your training like?
Physical fighting, calming the mind, extreme workouts, climbing trees, balancing on bamboo poles, beating the hell out of each other for hours on end.
I'd quite like to see that, actually, Sabratha says as she's leaning on the table. That sounds fascinating.
Doesn't now.
It is not. What says from next to you, and she takes a drink. And Keo says, it's different for every student. Some people pick up things faster than others. Wash here isn't the strongest with the physical, and I'm not the best at the mind. I get so angry. Levi here's the best of the three of us.
I wouldn't say that now.
I would. I would!
Well. Thanks.
You see there's like... Just, it's like... It's clear that they both respect you. They don't seem bitter about it, but they also both seem in pain.
Yeah. Right. Anybody hungry? You guys want food?
Steak!
Yep, steak for you.
I'll have the turkey. I can pay for mine, don't worry about it.
Nah, it's on me tonight. We're celebrating. And I turn around and look for the waiter.
He's about, and as you turn around, Sabratha says, are meals on you as well?
Of course. I invited you to the table.
Gentlemen. Very well. And Sagona, like, ugh. Fine, but I'm getting the pepper steak too.
That's fine. What you want?
I'll have the chicken. And the waiter finally does come by, and you manage to flag him, and he says, are you all having some eats tonight?
Yep. We'll take 3 pepper steaks, turkey and chicken. Is that right?
You got it. No problem. And as you're told how much it costs, and total everything's going to be about 3 gold.
Right. Sure.
But the waiter leaves, and as you're having pleasant conversation with everyone, Sabratha looks at you, and she says, "Remind me, you said you're from Quarterstone last time?
Yeah, that's where I came from.
What is
Before
it-
I got here, anyway.
What is it like up there?"
I regale her of my tales of Quarterstone, because I do not remember.
Roll me a history check. See how much you remember about Quarterstone.
No.
Not much. So you're making it up. All right, roll deception.
Oh, fuck. No, I'm just gonna be honest with her. I'm just gonna tell her, like, look, honestly, I try to think about it, and the only thing I can think of is the time spent training with the teacher I had. Not really much else comes to mind about the people that was there.
So that really is all there is to you, is it? Just training and fighting.
For the time being.
There must be so much more. What about before then?
Before I lived a miserable life with my parents.
So did
left.
I. But go on.
Honestly, I knew nothing of the outside world, outside of our town, in the further north, and I left, and I had no idea of what was out there, who was out there. I got to Quarterstone, and I met this monk. She taught me what she knew. I learned from her. I learned how people acted outside of my town, because like my town was kind of barbaric and how they survived, but
And you grew instantly enamored with the lifestyle of pounding faces.
no, what I fell enamored with was the way the monk trains their mind, keeps focused, keeps calm, and they have complete control over it.
I can
The punching
appreciate a
face
man with control.
extra.
And Sigona just like shakes her head and says, "The crushing faces is why I hang out with him."
Oh, well. One lady appreciates the brawn, one appreciates the brain. I guess that's acceptable.
As the food is set out in front of all of you, Sabratha says, "I was born in Unahi. My family was part of the Draconis Inumine. If you know what that is."
Not a clue.
Yeah, your character wouldn't. She, like, sees that you're mystified, and she says, "They're responsible for mediating between the gold dragon ruler of Unahi, you know, the king of Terracona, and the actual criminals who don't need to be eaten and roasted for their petty thievery and such."
Sounds like an interesting lifestyle. Also, I give the waiter 5 gold as a tip.
"Hey, good looking out." And he taps it on the table. And as he
Yeah,
does,
no
he
worries.
kind of prestes in all your drinks. Like with like fog plumes up above you.
Wonderful.
It is actually a really good trick. And
I
it
bet.
kind of like colors the light of the area a little bit more blue. And Wash actually, "Hey, I like that one."
Yeah, that's a good one.
How much do you drink, by the way?
A couple, enough to get a pretty good buzz going.
Okay. So you're not trying to get drunk, is what I'm asking.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Wash has also since learned not to slosh herself.
Thank God.
Yeah, everyone is showing some self-control. And as Sabratha is talking about who she was, you see Sigona is like kind of like face down looking at her food and kind of mucking it about. You imagine she's probably heard this spiel from Sabratha before and does not care. Kyo is listening. It sounds like the lifestyle of a noble is something that he's excited to hear about. Wash is listening, though it seems more she's paying attention to the words that Sabratha's saying and you see that she's like mouthing a little bit. It's like she's practicing common by listening to her talking.
Nice.
As you enjoy your meal over the evening, Sabratha, after food is finished, she stands up and she says, I thank you for the company, but I have a prior engagement this evening. I must go speak with Tabernac, and so I bid you all a good night. And as Sabratha
Take care and be
stands,
safe.
always, she nods. Tyrus guides us all, whether we like it or not, she says as she looks at Sigona and leaves. And Sigona just holds up a middle finger as she continues to eat her steak.
Right. You don't get along.
She's so uppity.
She seems fine.
She's full of herself. You wait till you're in a class with her and she starts telling you everything you already know. Just 'cause I'm not some high and mighty noble cleric from a royal house doesn't mean I don't know fuck all about Nair or proper traditions.
Well, to be fair, I don't. So I can't even begin to judge.
She looks at you and she says, you know the basics, I'm sure.
Can't say that I do.
Well, you grow up in a rock.
I literally just told you my family was barbaric.
Right, but there's barbaric and... She scowls at you and she says, are you looking for a lecture right now?
No, not particularly.
I didn't think so. Come by treats tomorrow if you want a lecture of that sort. I'm not in the mood.
Well, I guess I'll think... Well, no, I shouldn't say that, but... Anyway. I don't think everybody is... I actually just... I don't know.
No, finish it. You don't think everybody's what?
I don't know. What you see is on the surface. You see the uppity. Maybe she's not so uppity. Maybe it's just the front she puts on for the face, you know?
Levi, I'm in a class with her. I deal with her all day long. Her and Durakon are like two sides of the same coin. He's all about war and justice, and she's all about power and control.
Well, maybe then. You probably do know her much better than I ever will.
Well, she likes you, so at least she'll talk to you without being obnoxious.
This might get me punched, but do you ever think she's obnoxious to you because that's how you come off to her?
You're right, if you hadn't bought me dinner, you'd get punched.
I'm just saying. You're very upfront, and that can come off as obnoxious to some.
Alright. So, Master Levi, how would you recommend I proceed with Sabratha the Uppity?
I'm not going to, because that involves changing who you are, and I wouldn't ask that of anyone.
She blinks. You think we couldn't get along because of who I am?
No, I think you can. It's just much more difficult than me telling you how to go about befriending her. It's very complicated dealing with people. In fact, I really don't know how to go about it.
Well, at least that's honest of you. Alright. She just gets on my fucking nerves.
I think, well, you need to start with just sitting down and talking to her, if you truly want to get along with her.
We're gonna be stuck together for a year. Well,
Yeah?
9 months now. But yeah, I do want to beat the piss out of her every time I see her.
And just sit down and talk to her.
She rubs her face.
Be open and be honest. And if that doesn't work, then it wasn't meant to be.
Alright, I'll try it. Thanks. And thanks for dinner.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully you have a good evening.
She stands up. knocks back the last of her stout, and she leaves the table. And it is the instant that she leaves that Kyo and Wash are both, like, staring at you.
Yes?
What happened?
What do you mean?
We were sent off to go train for hours, and we come back and see you and you're fine. What happened to you?
Do you know... I actually don't know how much I'm allowed to tell you.
What is that supposed to mean?
Do you know... Master Ariakis, do you know what path he follows?
They both look at each other and then shake their head.
Let's just say that I was sent somewhere special to learn about the powers I've acquired. Following in Master Ariakis' footsteps.
You follow the same path as him.
Yes.
And what path is that?
No one ever said I couldn't tell anybody, right? That's just like...
That's correct. No one ever said that.
So from what I can tell, it's affecting the flow of time and things like that. I went to it's called the Bending Gardens.
And why did you get to see this and we did not?
Because I was chosen by the Sands, and I can very little and subtly affect the flow of time.
Okay. Kyo seems to accept this. And he says, if that's where your whole... if that's where you fit and belong, I mean, that is no place for us to judge. And Wash looks at him, and she says,
Well, what if I want that? Do we not
If
get
you
to
want
choose?
that, it chooses you. And if
Roll
it does
me-
choose you... Go ahead.
roll me a persuasion. Wash seems bitter as she drinks the elderberry ale, which is delicious, by the way. If you had the same. It is actually the best tasting ale I've ever had. It has a hint of burn to it and just a hint of bitter, but the rest of it, it's smooth and mellow and seems to taste of cloudberries.
Are we allowed to have alcohol in the Merry-Garden?
Yeah.
Alright. Before I leave, I want to do something. But Levi will look and go, hey, now that I think of it, what path did you guys want to follow? Did you have something in mind?
It is traditional, at least from what I heard of my family, to go the way of the Sword Saint. It's why I was training with weapons when I could. Wash looks at Kyo and then back to you, and she says,
Way of the elements.
I see.
But I did
Seems
not
like-
know I could control time.
I didn't know either. It just happened in a fight.
Do you think
No.
I could try?
I don't know if there's trying. I think what needs to happen is you need to focus on yourself. And if it happens, it happens.
Is that what you did?
Yeah. I had no thought of controlling time. I had not even the slightest concept of it.
She
It just
nods.
happened.
She nods as she's listening to you and looking at her ale. And she finally says, "Okay, I will try this. So focus on me." And Kyo quietly says, "You're supposed to be doing that anyway." And she just like elbows him really quick. And he's like, "Ah!" "You should try to focus on your defense."
I'm glad you two are getting along well.
They look at each other and then Kyo says, "Yeah, she reminds me a lot of my sister." Wash seems to smile. Even with the elbowing and stuff. And the smile vanishes.
Right. A reminder of home is always nice.
There are not many for me here.
Well, just have to look harder.
She frowns and nods as she continues to look at the ale.
I wish Semerigard had a pool.
You just want to swim?
Well, not in the bay. It is cold. Cold and harsh. Not like back home.
Remind me, is the water in the temporal plane cold?
No, it's like room temperature.
Why don't you just, in your time off, go relax in the classroom? You swim with me there.
Because that is where we train.
You see she like is hesitating as if she's like trying to find an excuse.
Well, just because you train there doesn't mean anything. You can relax and meditate and just enjoy the peace and the tranquility.
I will try this.
After all, there are lots of wondrous things. Fish and coral reef down there.
Are there?
There are. You just have to look.
She
I
si-
even saw this big phoenix frozen in time.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
Somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly where, but just go in and swim and look around, explore. You'll
I
find a
will.
lot of good things.
This is exciting. I will do this.
Kyo just like chuckles a little bit. Good advice.
I like to think I have some sometimes.
Yeah, you seem to dig some up every once in a while.
It kind of comes when it comes, I guess. I'm gonna see if they'll sell me a keg of this ale.
Good call.
The room.
Do you go to the counter and try and buy some?
Or do.
The bartender, this big, burly, bald man, looks at you as you approach. "What can I do for you?"
I'd like to get a keg of that elderberry ale.
Yeah, it hit the right spot, doesn't it?
Oh, that's so good.
We have a few downstairs. You just want a little keg?
What size kegs you got?
We have the smaller 5-gallon keg. The one we tap from is one of the big 50 gallons. I don't think I could come up with an excuse to sell you one of them.
How much is it?
The 5-gallon keg, they'll go for... I can let one of them go for 25 gold.
You let go 2 of them?
I got a few.
I'll take 2.
All right. Let me go fetch him.
Yeah.
He's only gone for a few minutes, but when he comes back up, he has these 2 huge kegs, one under each arm, and he sets them both down on the counter.
Actually, you know what? Let me get one more if you can.
All right. Hold on. He goes back down, gets another one, and he says, 3 kegs of elderberry ale, fresh from Priscillus.
Yeah, I drop him 75 gold.
There you are. They say this shit's blessed by the gods. Can you believe it?
The way it makes my tongue feel, I can believe it.
Well, it's been a pleasure doing business with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I look back to Arkio and Wash, and I come in.
They both approach, and he says, I find out you're selling this on the side. I'll come beat your ass.
Nope, staying right in my room.
That's fine. And
Yeah.
as Keo and Wash approach, they're looking at the kegs. And Keo says, what are you up to here, Levi?
One's for each of you for drinks later.
Oh. And he kind of
Keep
picks
it
it
in
up.
your room.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Wash is smiling cheerily as she bear hugs the keg. She's pretty small, so there's not really another way for her to carry it. But she looks over it and she says, "Thank you.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
You are a good teammate.
Thank you.
That is, yes.
Yes.
That is right, yes?
And Keo says,
Yeah, that's
yeah, that's good enough.
friend is also a good word to use.
Friend.
She smiles over the keg at you. And then she kind of bobbles off as Keo follows her. And as you carry your own keg off to your room, if there's nothing else for you tonight, that is where we are going to stop tonight's session.
Yeah, that was a good session.
All right. Well, welcome to the Way of the Bending Palm.
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time, and to all of our viewers at home, we hope you enjoyed the session. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye-bye.